So, slight departure from my normal road tests. If you've watched anything on my channel before, you know that I usually like to try and drive a car for an extended period before I give my what I like and what I don't like about it. But the opportunity arose to have, for the day only, this Mini Cooper 5-door 1.5 turbo. So I thought I'll give it a quick flip and see what I like and what I don't like. Now, my daily driver is a 2014 F56 Mini Cooper S, so the same generation as this, but with the 2-litre 4-cylinder twin-scroll turbo engine. This has the 3-cylinder 1.5 non-twin scroll turbo engine. So the first thing I notice, of course, is that my Cooper S has a lot more go. That's fair enough, that's to be expected. That's really where the comparisons end. The cars feel very similar other than that. In normal mode, which is where I drive my Cooper S most of the time, the steering feels exactly like it does in this car. The brakes feel exactly like they do in this car. Even the smell is the same. The clutch feels exactly the same as it does in my car. So, to all intents and purposes, these are the same, except that this has 5 doors and mine has 3. Now, I think the 3-door is much better looking. To me, the 5-door just doesn't look right around the C-pillar and the rear light. And one of the biggest things, in the 5-door, you haven't got the pillarless windows, which you get in the 3-door, which make it look sleek. This car is riding on 16-inch wheels. It's not fitted with run flats. It's fitted with some Hankook Evo 3s, because many like to fit Hankooks. The ride is very good. This is a particularly bumpy piece of road with all kinds of horrible repairs in it, and it's riding over it okay. The ride, as with all Minis, is quite firm, but then again, if you're buying a car based on sort of ride comfort and that sort of thing, a Mini wouldn't be on your list. So, what do I like about it? Well, I think anybody who's viewed my channel knows that I'm rather fond of Minis. So this one, the interior is nice. It doesn't differ very much from my Cooper S. It has the new digital dash, which is the way all cars are going. This is a sort of oval-shaped affair that sits on top of the steering column behind the steering wheel. It's fairly well laid out. On the left-hand side, you've got a rev counter. On the right-hand side, you've got a fuel gauge. And in the middle, there is a big blue circle with your speed in digits. Nice and easy to read. However, the same thing applies with this dash as applies to all Minis, with me in particular. It could be just that I'm 6 foot tall, so when I've got the seat set how I like it and the steering wheel set how I like it, I can't see the top of the digital dash. There's not a lot under there. If I dip down, I can see it. There's the temperature, my range, and what time it is. So I can't see those. It's the same with my car, which has the analog dashboard. I can't see the top end of the top of the clocks and the rev counter. My particular car has the optional head-up display, which is what I use for speed and what have you. As with all Minis, the steering is direct. I can tell where the wheels are. It's nicely weighted. It's not very light like some cars, and if you're after that sort of super light, no effort at all driving experience, then you're going to be disappointed in a Mini. There is still quite a lot of weight to it, even though it's power assisted. The controls are typically Mini, in that there's a little bit of design over function, but that's all part of the Mini experience. Nice to see there's a proper handbrake, but I tell you what, if you're coming out of a junction where I'm having to look slightly behind me here to see this approaching Mercedes, I'm having to look through the back window because the B pillar on the 5-door is very wide and quite obstructive. So that's something to bear in mind if you're thinking of one of these. On the 3-door car, the C-pillar is further back, so that's not a problem. Let's just see what it accelerates like. Let's take it down to second gear. Foot to the floor, second gear. Rev limit. Not bad. Very free revving. It can pick up its heels. It's got more than enough poke for everyday driving. It doesn't feel particularly fast, and it's not until you look at the speedometer you realise that you actually are going quite fast. And that's something I've noticed between the Gen 1. I have an R53 Cooper S, the supercharged first generation Mini, and with that you feel like you're going flat out everywhere, and then you look at the speedometer and you realise that you're not actually going as fast as you thought. You just feel you are. It's a tremendous sense of fun, as opposed to my Gen 3 Cooper S, which is turbocharged with a 2-litre engine. You put your foot down in that, makes a good noise, off it goes. You don't feel like you're going that fast until you look at the speedometer and you realise that you're in license losing territory. This is a bit like that. It's got a great noise, it takes off, it revs nicely, then when you look at the speedo, you're going faster than you thought. And I think that's probably the case with a lot of modern cars, to be honest. This is a lovely little motor. It's telling me now, asking me to go to 5th gear. To me, that I can feel a little bit of vibration through the gear stick, and I would be happier with the car in 4th. But the ECU seems to think that everything is okay to go to that higher gear. Again, the dashboard is asking me to go to that higher gear at 40 miles an hour. It'll be interesting what it thinks when we come to the speed limit signs just round this corner. Whether it thinks I should change down or not. And it doesn't. Now I would want to change down here, but the car is saying it's fine. It feels to me like I should change down, But I'm not going to. I'm going to do what the car wants. That's a torquey little motor. That is a torquey little motor. Still not asking me to change down, and I'm at 30 miles an hour in 4th gear. It's actually almost dropping off the bottom of the rev counter. It's round about, I would say, 400 RPM. Right, national speed limit. I'm going to put my foot down in 4th gear. And that has picked up very nicely, and it wants me to go to 6. That's quite impressive from a little 1.5 engine, and a 3-cylinder one as well. It feels I want to change down, but the car's not actually asking me to do that. That's pretty good. Pretty good. Handling, as you might expect from a Mini, is just spot on. You could hustle one of these down back roads like this all day long and have the most fantastic fun. Very sure-footed, and if you want a Mini and you've got kids and people who are going to go get in and out of the car frequently, then the 5-door is probably your choice. But the 2-door is better looking. The doors are bigger, so it's easier to get in and out than it is on these 5-door versions, because the doors are actually so small. Of course, because I've only got this car for a day, I won't be able to do any miles per gallon tests. But my Cooper S on a motorway, taking it steady at the legal limit, I can get 50 miles to the gallon. This one being a 1.5, I would imagine would easily get those sort of figures. Go again. It has got some get up and go, definitely. This armrest is quite nice, but it does get in the way of the gear lever a little bit. Fine if you're on the motorway, I suppose, rest your arm, but I like to have that movement for my arm. Good job you can fold it out of the way. I do like that triple sound. I like the triple sound that was in the Grandland that we had. And I love the triple sound on my Triumph Street Triple. They all remind me of that sound, that little burble from the 3 pots. So we've had a bimble around some back roads and some dodgy surfaces. So now we'll just take it on an A road and we'll see how she goes on there. Of course, auto stop start is enabled, as you might expect. But if you had one of these, you could always get an OBD dongle and BIM a code and code that out so that you don't have auto stop start. There, we're quickly up to the legal limit from that junction without really revving too hard. That was really nice and easy. Absolutely suited to modern traffic, as you might expect. It's a modern car. Handles just like you'd expect a Mini to handle. So I've just come down to 40 miles an hour limit and the car is still quite happy in 6th gear at 40. That is very, very good indeed. If you drove paying attention to the gear the car wants to be in, I think you'd achieve some very good fuel consumption. Wants to change up. Very low revs. I'm just about hitting 2000 RPM before it wants me to change up. I'm now down at 300 RPM, doing 33 miles an hour in 5th. It doesn't tell you to change down through the gears in the situation we've just been in. Stop start. It does really require so little in the way of throttle before it asks you to change up. To go to 4th at 33 miles an hour. I know I'm going on about this a bit, but the flexibility of the engine really is quite impressive. The general fit and finish and the quality of the materials inside is very good, as you might expect from what is essentially a BMW.